35 and or I-35 and Highway 69, basically, as this moves from I-35 to Davis City. So at this point, where I'm monitoring this is right here over I-35 south of Decatur City. And like I said, the rotation is somewhat broad. It was even a little bit more well-defined looking just a minute ago, but at this point, you know, with that still being right there on I-35 where so many people travel between, you know, the Des Moines area and down towards Kansas City and Missouri, we want people to be safe with this and certainly to take it very seriously. Now, if we could come back out to me and the radar, you know, I just want to reset here for folks who are just jumping on. Maybe you're catching us on weareiowa.com or We Are Iowa app, our YouTube live stream. The reason that we are interrupting our programming right now, and I apologize for doing so, is because we've got a tornado warning in place. The only tornado warning we've had so far today, and by the way, only the second tornado warning all season long here in central Iowa. It's been a really quiet severe weather season up until the last couple of days. We had all that hail in southern Iowa just on Friday night, and then we've had strong storms again today. This storm is a pretty massive storm. There's absolutely prolific lightning with this, torrential rain, probably good hail out there, and I mean good as in it's probably 1.5 inches to 2 inches in diameter, and then of course the potential for a tornado. I'm still looking for updates here from the National Weather Service, and really since they issued the tornado warning, there hasn't been a whole lot of movement with the storm. As far as updates go, this is an area that I know there are a lot of storm chasers out keeping an eye on storms. They're actively seeking out those supercell structures and wall clouds, but obviously this is a matter of safety now and a matter of lives and property when we start talking about a tornado threat. So the tornado warning is in effect for Decatur County from Leon down to the south, and this tornado warning goes until 6:30 p.m. and this is clearly a severe thunderstorm, but it also could be capable of producing a tornado, and it has some broad rotation that we have been watching for. And that rotation is moving right along I-35. And this has lost a little bit of its structure here as far as the supercell structure, but there's still, you know, enough rotation here to lead us to believe that there could be at least a funnel cloud, if not a tornado. And that is right along I-35, moving towards Highway 69 and Davis City. So I will zoom in a little bit more and see if we might zoom in too much there. This is just to the north of Lamoni, by the way, but folks in Lamoni should be in a sheltered location right now. Same thing for Davis City. And, this is probably only a handful of miles away from the Missouri border on I-35. But there's Lamoni right here. And the rotation is up in this general direction up to the north and east. So that is, good news to see that it's not directly moving through Lamoni, but, I think folks in Lamoni should still be in that safe place. These white areas that are popping up too, by the way, are areas that could be hail. That would be north of Leon, and that would also be right over the Grand River area. We've been keeping an eye on that. Just watching for additional updates from the National Weather Service. It looks like they are going to extend the severe thunderstorm warning for Decatur and Wayne County until 6:45, but no update there on the tornado warning. So we are going to stay with it, knowing that there is still a potential threat for at least a funnel cloud, if not a tornado. And we know that here in Iowa, yes, we deal with thunderstorms, but these can turn nasty in a hurry, and we want people to be safe and informed on what's going on in their community. I do want to let you know, of course, about those other severe thunderstorm warnings that are to the north and to the east. We're talking about Monroe. We're talking about Pella. We're talking about Montezuma. We're talking about central Poweshiek County towards Guernsey, and eventually that's pushing along I-80. Both of those have a history of producing damaging wind gusts and large hail. The Des Moines Metro, by the way, is totally in the clear at this point. There will be some gusty winds coming in soon because we've got a gust front or an outflow boundary here that has developed, highlighted in this green line from Guthrie Center to Perry and Boone, but that will sort of signal the end of severe weather threats once that pushes through. Of course, the big thing that we are keeping an eye on is this huge cell, this supercell storm down to the south. And actually, to my production team, I'm going to walk over to the chroma key wall just to point a couple of things out with this storm, as I want to show folks exactly where it's headed and its relation to those county lines with Decatur, Wayne County, and of course the Missouri state line. So I'll head over there now to point it out and show you what exactly is going on. So this is moving through Decatur County, moving down to the south, crossing I-35. It's north of Lamoni at this point, going right through Leon and Davis City, and it's going to clip the southern border here of Decatur and Wayne County, where the county line is, and eventually it'll cross into northern Missouri. Once it does cross into Missouri, the threat for this will shift to the south. It'll be out of Iowa. There could still be some torrential rain, strong winds, large hail that'll move through Wayne County, Corydon, but the tornado aspect of this, or the likely tornado aspect of this, will be moving pretty quickly to the south and east. Remember, this storm is moving at about 35 miles per hour, and it'll be moving across the state line into Missouri as we really go through the next, I'd say, 30 minutes or so. We will see that happen. We still have that radar indicated rotation, and I will stick with this. Again, I apologize for interrupting your programming. I know we've got AFV on right now, but I do want you to know all about this storm. So for those who are just watching, it's about 6:18 p.m. Perhaps you're just jumping onto our live stream on YouTube, weareiowa.com, the We Are Iowa app. We've got you covered in all kinds of directions. We are tracking a tornado warning, only the second tornado warning of the season so far. It's been a really quiet severe weather season up until the last couple of days, and this tornado warning includes southern Decatur County, really central and southern Decatur County. It includes areas just to the east and southeast of I-35 now. Davis City, in between Davis City and Leon, right along Highway 69. If we had a tornado, that is where it would be. Remember, this is a radar indicated tornado, which means that we see all the ingredients there. We know that the structure is there. We've got the winds that are inbound and outbound, but we don't necessarily have a tornado on the ground right now. But in a split second, that can change, and that's why we stay with this until the threat has diminished or tapered off, or at the very least moved out of our area. So to just kind of probe this storm a little bit more and see where we are watching for that rotation, what I'm pulling up here is our velocity scope, and the velocity is what we look at to determine where there could be either a funnel cloud, where there could be a tornado, and at this point that is right along Highway 69, just over Davis City, north of Davis City, and that is, only a handful of miles east of I-35. And again, where we would be tracking that is right here over Highway 69. So we definitely have to take that very seriously, because, folks who live in Davis City or who live in Pleasanton or who live near the Decatur and Wayne County line, this is something that we are certainly going to be watching for you very carefully. Just pulling up our velocity products and trying to see where we might get a better view of that. Looks like the base velocity will help us out the best here. So it really is fairly broad, but it's in the Davis City area now. So, if you are anywhere in Davis City, we've got, just zooming in here really close, all of the town of Davis City. So Clark Street down to Maple Street, County Road J52. And this is probably moving just to the north of town. So moving sort of in this direction as it crosses Highway 69. So that's County Road J52, Old US Highway 69, and eventually McIntosh Road. That is just to the east of Davis City, where we would be eyeing that. And remember, this warning is set to expire at 6:30. We will see if that remains and holds true. It is really dependent on what the National Weather Service is seeing. And here's a good update from them, from one of the meteorologists at the National Weather Service. They believe that the mesocyclone, the rotation, appears to be weakening some, but that they will leave the tornado warning in place for now. with that being said, it's something that we're going to keep an eye on for at least a few more minutes as we track this in Decatur County. It is set to expire at 6:30. I do believe that it will expire at 6:30. I don't expect them to extend that. Obviously, it will likely move into northern Missouri at that point, and it will once it moves into northern Missouri, become a threat for Missouri rather than for southern Iowa. I am really not seeing a whole lot with this rotation at this point, so I think what I'm going to do is send it back to regularly scheduled programming, but to my digital team, Mario, Holly, they're fantastic digital producers. Let's leave the live stream going so that we can keep folks informed with this. So we'll keep our live stream going. If you live in this area, I promise we're not going away. We will update you on YouTube, Facebook, weareiowa.com. I'm going to stay right here for my team in the production control room. Sharon, Carly, Darius, and Jordan, I appreciate all your help. If we can, let's send it back to regularly scheduled programming. I will pause for a minute and we will continue our live stream here momentarily up through at least 6:30 with this tornado warning. So for now, we'll get you back to your programming and stand by for continuous live streaming. Brandon Lawrence once again here in the Local 5 Weather Lab. We are tracking a new tornado warning that has just been issued. This is different from the Decatur County storm that we were watching earlier. Now we have one that is for Marion and Mahaska counties. And at this point, just checking from the National Weather Service, again, this is a radar indicated tornado similar to what we had just a few minutes ago with the Decatur County storm. We had a storm spotter that apparently has seen what they believe is a tornado. They can't really see the base of it because that would, determine whether it's a tornado or a funnel cloud. But nonetheless, we have a new tornado warning that is in effect, and this is for Marion and Mahaska counties. And actually, you can see a pretty good hook has defined on this storm, or has become defined on this storm, as it is just to the north of Pella right now. So this is a serious situation. Folks are, this is certainly a more populated area. So if you are in Pella, you need to seek shelter now. If you are in Layton, Iowa, you need to seek shelter now. We always talk about the polygon where the warning is, and this red polygon is where we have the potential tornado. And you see that hook defined there on our radar. This is something that I'm watching very closely. Folks in Pella should be in a safe place right now. Here's the rotation that we are picking up on our Doppler radar. It is right off Highway 163. Those areas of red and green coming together, that is inbound and outbound winds where we have this moving towards Pella. So this is something that just popped up in the last couple of minutes. We've been watching the storm, of course, but we had not really seen that rotational element until now. So obviously the minute that that happens, the minute that that pops up, the National Weather Service jumps on that and says there is likely a tornado here. So where I'm really keeping an eye on that hook is just to the north and west of Pella. Highway 163, Washington Street, and Main Street heading north out of Pella. This is the area that I'm watching very closely. Anywhere off of Old Highway, let's see what street that is. Old Highway 163. We've got communities here. This is the north side of Pella. If you are at Big Rock City Park, if you are near that area, if you are near Kiwanis Park, near Pella Golf and Country Club, if you are near Pella Surgical Associates Center, really anywhere near that Pella Town Square, I want you to be in a safe place now, because we've got this supercell thunderstorm that could produce a tornado at any minute moving into the north side of Pella. So this is a warning that is for Marion and Mahaska County. It includes the western sections of Mahaska County right now. And the main community that I am really eyeing this for is Pella. I want to remind you what a tornado safe place is, what your precautions need to be. You want to be on the lowest floor of your home, of your building. You want to be away from windows and doors. You want to put as many walls in between you and the outside as possible. And just because we don't have a tornado confirmed, we know that there is that radar indicated rotation, that there could be a tornado moving towards Pella. So that is something that obviously I jump on that, I see that, and I want people to be safe. You can also watch this, by the way, if you happen to lose power or you happen to have a hard time getting our station. You can watch this on weareiowa.com and on our We Are Iowa app, also Facebook and YouTube. Just checking some things here on our National Weather Service, chat room that we have. And we will show you what's going on with this cell. Looking for more updates. Possible tornado still in the Pella area. And in fact, we have some spotters that are saying they might actually be seeing a tornado. So certainly that anyone in the city of Pella should be in a safe place right now. So if you live in Pella, or anywhere near that town, you need to be in your safe place if you live anywhere along Highway 163. So I do want to try to query this velocity again. And we're seeing these brighter colors that are showing up. right here along Highway 163. I've circled those in blue. That is where we would probably have a tornado. And again, we don't have exact confirmation on it right now, but I'm seeing some spotters that are saying, yes, they are. And I'm seeing some things on Twitter that there very well could be a tornado there. And from what I can tell, it may not be on the ground, but it is absolutely a funnel cloud. So if you are in Pella now, I want you in a safe place because this is a serious situation. I'm seeing those reds and greens right there on the radar, and I'll show you exactly where this is going to be moving in. Clear that off. And I'm going to switch over to our velocity product for just a minute here. And I'll show you a good view of where this is headed. To my production team, I am going to walk over to the chroma key wall really quick just to point this out where we've got that rotation and how it's going to be moving into the town of Pella. So here we go. This is moving right along Highway 163, Washington Street on the western side of Pella. This is the town and this is the north side right along Main Street. Everybody on the north side of Pella and in the central part of Pella should be in a safe place now. Of course, Highway 163 dips to the south a little bit, but Pella, this is where we are watching. And I just was seeing some photos and videos on Twitter, on social media with storm spotters in the area, and it looks like a tornado is really trying to reach the ground here. It may not exactly be on the ground, but it definitely looks pretty close. We just got a new scan of our radar, of our velocity here, and it still is showing up here just to the north of Washington Street, moving towards the city of Pella. So this is generally moving east and southeast. Anybody in Pella needs to be in that safe place right now. We've been tracking storms all throughout the day. Of course, we've had different severe thunderstorm warnings. We had a tornado warning earlier for Decatur County, and that one has since ended. That has generally moved out of our state, and that is moving down into northern Missouri. But we still have enough rotation here to lead us to believe that there could be a tornado on the ground. And where I'm seeing that right now, if I zoom in really close, and radar lags just a bit. Usually there's a 60-second to 2-minute delay with this in this type of scenario. But at this point, I would say it's heading right onto the north side of Pella. So again, I called out some of these areas earlier, but anybody who is near Big Rock City Park, the Christian Opportunity Center, Pella Golf and Country Club, Kiwanis Park, Pella Surgical Associates Center if you live near Lincoln Elementary School in Pella, and the Pella Foot and Ankle Clinic. And these are just different landmarks that pop up here on our radar. You need to be in your safe place now. Again, this is really going through the north side of Pella is where we will be keeping a very close watch on this. So at this point, we have an observed tornado. The National Weather Service now says we do have a tornado on the ground. It was observed. It was confirmed. They said it was a large and extremely dangerous tornado located over Pella, moving east at 25 miles per hour. They said that the circulation has weakened a little bit, but that there could have been a tornado on the ground just to the northwest of Pella. And of course, when we say that could have been on the ground, we just don't necessarily know if it is still there. I'm still seeing enough on our velocity product that, it leads me to believe there could be a tornado. But at this point, I want to reiterate for folks who are listening at home, watching us on YouTube, on our live stream at weareiowa.com on air, there was a confirmed tornado, an observed tornado moving into the north side of Pella. That means it's on the ground now. The tornado warning goes for Marion County, and it also is for western Mahaska County. So if you live just to the east of Pella and you are on the Mahaska County side of things, just know this is moving in your direction too. I'm reading more updates from the National Weather Service. The tornado may have lifted off the ground that was in the Pella area, but it was definitely there. I see some pictures of it, and it was 2 miles northwest of Pella. So we are going to stay with this, of course, because we know it has had a history of producing a tornado, and once it does at one time, it very well could do it again. Let me pull back out a little bit on the map here and show you. We still have kind of that hook signature, which we tend to look for in these supercell thunderstorms, and it allows air going into the storm, and that would fuel that tornado. The whole storm, though, the entire storm, is actually moving to the east, so it's going to move through northern Mahaska County, New Sharon, tracking right along Highway 102 towards Highway 63, and it will eventually pass through Pella and move into Mahaska County. So with that being said, it's, just because it may be off the ground at this point doesn't mean that it will stay off the ground. It looks like we may have a picture here, and if we could pull that up just to see. This is the photo that I saw on social media as well. It's from a storm chaser. His name is Andrew Pritchard, and he took this video, or this photo rather, of the tornado that he said was in progress around 6:43. And I'm also getting reports from fire officials there northwest of Pella that they can confirm there was a brief tornado, but it has since lifted. It lifted off the ground 5 minutes ago, and that's good to hear. But with that being said, of course, we still know that it could be a matter of minutes before this goes back onto the ground. So I would like to reset, if we could come back out to me and show the radar here, reset for folks who are just watching, kind of recap what's been happening. It is 6:51 on Sunday evening here. We've been tracking severe weather all throughout the afternoon, and we had a tornado warning that was issued for parts of Marion and Mahaska counties, and that warning is still in effect. You see it here now on our map, has popped up as a pink box. That means that we had that observed tornado. It usually is red for tornado warnings, but the pink represents that we had an observed confirmed tornado. Again, we do know that a tornado was on the ground just to the northwest of Pella. It has since lifted, but when we have these types of scenarios, they can lift, they can go back down. So we want everybody to seek shelter rather, and of course take this very, very seriously. It's moving right through the town of Pella. The storm, where the rotation is now generally north and east of Pella. But if you live on Highway 102 going northeast out of Pella into Mahaska County, that is where I'll be watching this next. And it has become a little bit more broad. Now the rotation is to the north and to the east of Pella. So it's northeast of town, but it is essentially about to cross over the Mahaska-Marion County line and move towards Highway 102 just to the south and west of Peoria. And this will stay north, by the way. This will stay north of Oskaloosa because the storm itself is tracking to the east. And I want to confirm that it is still tracking, let's see, still moving east at 30 miles per hour. So I'll put a track on it for you to give you an idea, and that way you know who is next in line for this. I still think the core of the storm will stay to the north of Oskaloosa. So we're looking at a 7:16 arrival time in Lacey, a 7:38 arrival time in Rose Hill, and a 7:51 arrival time in Delta. Again, I think the core of this, where that rotation is, where we had the tornado drop, is probably to the north, or probably will stay north of Oskaloosa, which is great to hear. So we still watch this. If you are in Pella, I am hoping to give you the all clear here in just a few minutes, but I can't do that just yet. I want to wait for the whole core of that storm to move out of the area. But it is now to the north and east of Pella. So if you are on the northwest side of Pella, the threat for a tornado has gone away for your area, and this is now northeast of town. Basically, Highway 102 coming up from Oskaloosa Street and Highway 163. So 163, of course, travels right past Pella. North of 163, Highway 102 going up towards Peoria and eventually up towards New Sharon. That is where we are watching it right now. And I just like to scan this every so often to see we are still seeing at least some decent radar indicated rotation here that I have highlighted. Ryan, could you say that again for me? That's great to hear. So we just got an update from Pella Police. There has not been any reported damage in the city. So that is, I'm thankful to hear that. We saw the photo of the tornado on the ground, but from the Pella Police Department, there is no damage reported in the city. If you are in Pella and you have seen some damage and maybe it just hasn't been reported, let us know. Please do so safely. Don't go out there if you see any power lines down or anything like that. But I'm relieved to hear, because it always gets the adrenaline pumping a little bit when you see a tornado that is on the ground moving into a town. We know Pella saw a tornado just a handful of years ago. In 2018, on July 19th, there was an EF2 there that, of course, affected the Vermeer manufacturing plant. So I'm relieved to hear that we are not hearing of any damage at this point. On this latest radar scan as of 6:55, we are seeing that hook signature has generally gone away a little bit. It's moving right over Highway 102 now and moving just to the south of Peoria, and it'll be tracking generally along and north of Highway 163. And I'm seeing a couple of different pictures to my producer, Ryan Scott. If you are coordinating with Taylor Canoost, he's been snagging a couple of different pictures that he has been seeing. We also have confirmation from one of our partners, our meteorologist, who is actually over in Cedar Rapids, but he is a storm chaser too, says he's got a view of the wall cloud now east of Pella and can confirm that a new wall cloud is developing. And so what that means is that we, of course, with that new wall cloud developing, know that it could at any moment produce another tornado. So it already produced one. It only takes a second or two for it to create another one, for it to drop another tornado. And again, that would be just along Highway 102 east of that, moving towards Lacey and New Sharon. I believe we've got another picture here of the tornado that was in Pella. And let me see, this is from Zach Glasgow, who captured this shot of the tornado there. This was shared on Twitter. And you can see it extending down to the ground there. And of course, this is no longer on the ground. And I'm seeing a lot of people who are saying, I follow a lot of storm chasers who are saying that a new wall cloud is developing. And so what that really makes me believe is that at any moment, we could have another tornado that could touch down. So we will stay with this certainly until the threat has gone away. This warning is set to expire at 7 o'clock this evening. I think it will probably be extended. I think it will go longer past 7 p.m. I don't know that for sure, but we're only a few minutes away. And like I said, we've got a lot of storm chasers who are down there who say we have a new wall cloud developing, and that wall cloud could very quickly drop a new tornado. So I want to reset here. We are almost at 7 o'clock on Sunday evening, Father's Day. We had tons of rain this morning, which was great. Now we've got severe weather and a fairly active setup. Actually, the majority of the storms are pushing out of our area. So within the next hour, the threat will be going down, will be going away a little bit. The storm to the south that had a tornado warning on it earlier in Decatur County, that's moving away from Decatur and Wayne County now. The heaviest part, the strongest part of that storm is moving into northern Missouri. We have another severe thunderstorm warning moving through the eastern side of Poweshiek County. That's moving towards Williamsburg and North English. That'll be moving out of our area. But of course, the main thing that we are watching is now well east of Lake Red Rock and now east of Pella. If you are in the city of Pella, you are no longer under the threat of a tornado at this point. I still want you to be on guard, but this is now moving east of Pella. and is moving now into Mahaska County. So really, if you are in Marion County, the threat for a tornado is going down in your area. But if you are in Mahaska County, this is still very much a threat, and I want you to be in your safe place now. Anybody between Highway 163 and New Sharon should be in that safe place. And a reminder of what that is, that's the lowest floor of your home or of your building, away from windows and doors. You want to put as many walls in between you and the outside as possible. And of course, we know that this produced a tornado, so I really just continue to check and wait for any minute that it could produce another one, which is why we will stay with it. I do want to apologize for covering up programming. I know that that's not fun, but certainly it is something that we are going to continue doing because it's important for us to keep people safe and keep them informed. And it looks like the tornado warning has been extended. That tornado warning for Mahaska and Marion counties will go until 7:30 p.m. Again, that goes until 7:30 p.m. At this point, still a radar indicated tornado. It is not confirmed on the ground, but the warning is going to go until 7:30 this evening. And that is for really Mahaska County. If you look closely at that polygon, it just barely clips the eastern side of Marion County. It pretty much is now all encompassing northern Mahaska County. So I am going to pop back over to the chroma key wall for just a minute so I can point out a couple of things. And that's just for my production team, my directors who are troopers for staying with me this evening as we track these storms. So this is the area that we have been watching. This has kind of been that hook that we've been watching over the last couple of, minutes, really for the last, half hour that we've been watching that. This is where we would still see that inflow coming into the storm. So the rotation is likely somewhere in this area south of 102. And again, the whole storm itself is moving east. So New Sharon, down Highway 63, Layton, Iowa, and right along Highway 163. Essentially, how I can best describe it is if you are in between 102 and 163 and 63, if you are in that general vicinity, you need to be in a safe place right now. If you are near the Mahaska and Poweshiek County border, this is just to the south of you, but I would still recommend being in that safe place now because we certainly know that this could produce a tornado again at any minute. We had visual confirmed tornado there in Pella, and now it's moving away towards the New Sharon area and anywhere that is north of Oskaloosa. I still think, by the way, that the core of the storm will stay north of Oskaloosa. So if you are in Oskaloosa, I want you to be watching this very carefully. I'm not saying that the threat has gone away or that it is lower, but it's just, barring any big turn in this storm, I'm not quite as worried about it. So let me pull it back up and see if we can get a view of where that rotation is. Yeah, it's right there off of Highway 102, in between 102 and 163. This is the area that I'm keeping an eye on. So it's likely just to the east-southeast of Highway 102. So with that, I would like to zoom in a little bit closer on that. And we are getting farther and farther away from the Des Moines radar site, which makes it harder to see that rotation. It doesn't scan it quite as well. So yeah, this is just off 102, south of the community of Peoria, and it is just north of 163. So it's east of 250th Avenue, and it's going to move essentially, if I could draw a little arrow here, like this, towards Highway 63. It's moving more east, so it's really moving more like this towards Highway 63 rather than southeast, so it's moving east and is eventually going to reach Highway 63 in between New Sharon and Oskaloosa. So the community of Lacey, Iowa should be in that safe place as well. So anywhere between New Sharon and Oskaloosa, you should be in a safe place at this point. I do want to reiterate, we had a tornado that did touch down. There was a confirmed tornado to the northwest of Pella this evening. It was on the ground, by the way. We won't know, how big that storm was. We won't know anything like that just yet, or how significant that tornado was. But we do know from the city of Pella police that there was no damage reported, which is excellent to hear. Looks like and I'm just reading, jumping over here and reading other updates from our partners at the National Weather Service and from storm spotters who are in the area. And it looks to me like they may have another funnel cloud that has developed and it has become rain wrapped. So whenever we have a rain-wrapped scenario with a funnel cloud or a tornado, it becomes harder and harder to see. So we may not get that same visual confirmation, but it does make sense that it could be rain-wrapped because we are in just an area that is experiencing some torrential rainfall as well. I should note that just to cover all of our bases when it comes to severe weather, there could be damaging wind gusts here. There could be some hail embedded within this. And of course, we have plenty of heavy rain. The flash flood threat is not a concern at this point because the ground has been so dry and it's moving quickly enough that all of these areas can handle the rainfall that is falling in this. But again, anywhere between Layton, New Sharon, and Lacey needs to be in that safe place right now. I will scan it again, see if we can get that rotation to pop up. And again, because it is rain wrapped, it's probably a little bit harder to see, which we know that it's going to be harder and harder to see. We're also getting farther and farther away from the radar. It has broadened up a little bit. When we had the tornado on the ground northwest of Pella, we had these really bright green and red colors that had popped up, and that kind of screamed, hey, there's a tornado on the ground. And so certainly the National Weather Service issued that tornado warning very quickly and jumped on it. So I did mention that this is moving east at about 30 miles per hour. So the entire storm moving east at 30. We will see this arriving. Doesn't mean there's a tornado right there at that time. And these are just estimated arrival times at 7:13 in New Sharon, at 7:46 in What Cheer, at 7:56 in Keswick. Those are some arrival times. So eventually this will be moving into Keokuk County and north of Sigourney and towards What Cheer and eventually North English. I haven't seen any other updates from our partners at the National Weather Service as far as whether or not we do have a funnel cloud or a tornado on the ground at this point. Is it possible in the control room for us to take a couple of those pictures really quick, and then we'll come back out to radar, and I'm going to move over to our chroma key wall for just a minute. So here's a couple of views of that tornado that touched down just to the northwest of Pella, and we've been watching these all throughout the day. This is from Adam. Daniel Shaw said tornado confirmed to the northwest of Pella, and that was captured, of course, 7 minutes ago at the time, so that's been quite a while now. So we've had visual confirmation of this thing. Zach Glasgow tweeted looking into the tornado that briefly dropped near Pella. And again, we do have an update from the city of Pella police that there is not damage, or at least there have been no reports of damage in the city of Pella. If we could come back out to our chroma key wall here, and I'm going to point out kind of where this storm is moving at this point. So we're taking a look at Doppler radar, and I just want to reset for folks who are just turning on Local 5, who are just watching our YouTube live stream, our Facebook, our WeAreIowa.com and We Are Iowa app live streams. We've got this tornado warning that is in effect for essentially Mahaska County now. It includes one little sliver of Marion County. I'll say it's all Mahaska County at this point. Moving to the north of Oskaloosa, between New Sharon and Oskaloosa, that's where we had a rotation signature that has popped up. Earlier, this produced a tornado northwest of Pella, but now we're watching for it to potentially do that same thing again right along Highway 63 in the northern part of Mahaska County. If you are in this red polygon box, if you are in New Sharon, if you are along Highway 63, not all the way down to Oskaloosa, but north of town, you need to be in your safe place now. And of course, we always remind you that that's the lowest floor of your home, of your building. You want to be away from windows and doors, and of course, put as many walls in between you and the outside as possible. We are going to stay with this tornado warning up until it expires, which is set to be at 7:30. We will see if they extend it or if they continue that or if it gets canceled early, just really dependent on what they're seeing with the storm. But at this point, we still have radar indicated rotation moving through northern Mahaska County, and we know that this did produce an actual tornado north and west of Pella just a little while ago. So I do want to scan this again and look to see what we've got. I am noticing that the rotation is weakening a little bit, which is good. It's broadening up a little bit. One thing I will say here, we know that, from spotter reports, this could potentially be a rain-wrapped funnel cloud that is there in northern Mahaska County. And if that is the case, then we probably would have a harder time seeing it here on our Doppler radar to begin with if it's rain wrapped. We are also getting farther and farther away from the Des Moines radar site. As we are farther away, we also know that it becomes harder for the radar to scan what is going on up there in the atmosphere. We've got Chief Meteorologist Brad Edwards in studio here. He is coming in on Father's Day to help us look at this storm, and he will be joining me here in just a minute. But Brad, it's been pretty active. It
has been. I've been watching it at home, obviously, all day, and this one cell just got the right conditions. I mean, it was close to not developing, but it did. So. And
then within, probably what was it, like 60 to 90 seconds after the tornado warning was issued, we had that tornado on the ground.
It was the strongest signature. If my mic is open, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
So, it was the strongest tornadic signature we've seen from all of these storms. You can head over to the wall, Brandon, and I'll take over here. I'll give you a break. I know your voice is probably about shot. I'm going to get an IFB first off here, but yeah, we still have a dangerous situation out there, and I guess I really don't have an IFB right here right now, but I'll get one later. Here is one, the weather IFB. All right, so we are on IFB. And we still have a pretty good notch there just south of New Sharon. So the signature, it does look like, it looks like a storm that could produce a tornado. We've had a reported tornado. It was a large tornado is what they said, right?
Yeah, they said it was large and extremely dangerous. Now, we do know from the city of Pella police that there was no damage reported in the city, which is, I was talking about how in 2018 we had a tornado that affected Vermeer Manufacturing. It was an EF2. Yes. So I always get a little bit, you don't want to see that coming into the city of Pella. So now, I'm glad that.
Yeah, so this dangerous part's coming into the Lacey area. If you're in this area, take shelter immediately. Of course, this is a very dangerous situation, folks. This is not one of those tornado warnings where we might have a tornado. We do have a tornado. We have a very strong signature here, and it is really north of Highway 163. Now I'm going to show the velocity here, and that's going to give us a better idea of what's going on here. If that'll load up, we'll go in close here. But definitely a strong system here, and you can see that, like Brandon said, it has kind of widened its rotation, but it's still capable. And a lot of times what these will do, Brandon, is they'll cycle a little bit.
Right.
So you'll have a severe thunderstorm or a tornado warning, and then it'll go away, and then it'll come back in the area. So that is one we're going to have to watch closely. And which one? Let's go to this one here. So there's the warning out in that area. And Brandon, it is moving off to the east. What, about 35 miles per hour, was it?
Yeah, it's been 30, but it may have increased a little bit, but it's about 30. So we're looking at, in between. I've said that, I really don't think that the core of the storm, where that tornado could be, I think it will stay north of Oskaloosa. But it is moving, right towards Highway 63 there, south of New Sharon. And then, it'll go towards the border of Mahaska and Keokuk County, so the town of Whatcheer, and also Barnes City. It's a little bit farther north, but should keep an eye on it.
So we'll put let's put a storm track on then. I'm sure you've done that already, but you can see that latest scan, Brandon, it did kind of lose that notch a little bit, so that's a good sign there. But it is probably going to recycle as well. But this was the area where it was moving, or where the strongest storm was located. And yeah, it's heading generally in the direction of Spring Valley by 7:34, Indianapolis 7:39, the Watchir area, as you said, by about 7:48, and Sigourney by about 8:06. Now, I have noticed, let me clear that off for you just a second here, and I have noticed with this storm that it almost has another inflow notch developing, and I'm going to point that out to you here with my line. And so this area right here is like another inflow notch. I think this was the original one here. So these storms, they're basically, it's a living thing, really. It's breathing, trying to breathe in this warm, moist air that we had all day. So it was a very warm, humid day, and the conditions were right. And they probably thought about issuing a tornado watch, but they issued a severe thunderstorm watch. And I'll tell you what, this one has been the most prolific storm we've had. We had one in southern Iowa, but it didn't really have the signature this one does. And thankfully, we've not reported any damage yet, but it is still a dangerous situation. And we hope that it'll kind of weaken as we go into the evening hours. Most tornadoes happen between 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, so we're right in that window.
Right, and the storms, you know, we should mention, are sort of on the eastern fringe of our area. So I would say by 8 o'clock, most of these are going to be outside of the local 5 news area. Doesn't mean that they're going to automatically weaken because they do that. And we do, you know, keep an eye on Keokuk County as well. But that storm to the north is moving out of Poweshiek, moving out of Deep River in Montezuma. And then that one storm to the south is pretty much in Missouri. And I noticed that was coming in, Brandon, that gust front. Basically, it's kind of the almost like the cold front coming in from the west there. The really strong, cool air, the winds pick up, and that's coming through Des Moines right now. So we got a little shower there on the south side of Des Moines, but it is the cold front coming in. So all this activity developing out ahead of that front, and it is pretty intense out there. And thankfully, I knew if I came in, Brandon, that it would probably weaken. It would weaken, of course. It would weaken.
That's what happens when we come in and we tag team the severe weather coverage. But we're watching it closely here for you folks, again, in Mahaska County, northern and north central, let's say, Mahaska County right now. Let me stop that loop and get a closer look at this. Yeah, it has improved. I mean, in the sense that it doesn't look quite as healthy. I don't know if we've got any recent storm reports. Let me look at that. Have you seen anything there, Brandon?
I can look. I'll have it pulled up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pull that up over there. So we'll see if we got any more storm reports out there, but lately I don't think we have got any new ones coming in.
Nothing recent. I should mention that Marion County is no longer in the tornado warning.
Yeah.
I had showed that it was just a little sliver of the county. So it is all for Mahaska County and no new updates. I do know that our producer Ryan Scott has relayed to me that there were some power outages down in Decatur County that Alliant Energy had reported, and that is from that big storm that moved through. And, you know, still not hearing of any damage in Pella. And I follow a lot of storm chasers. I follow a lot of, you know, people who are out there looking at this storm, and they do not have anything reported as far as damage. So I am relieved to hear that. Hopefully this, you know, where it touched down was maybe in an open field somewhere. Yeah, and that's really part of it here, especially in Iowa, rural Iowa. I mean, you know, if a tornado at the wrong place at the wrong time can be a lot worse situation. But thankfully, so far, we have avoided any major catastrophes here. So be careful here in Mahaska County again. This warning continues and the threat continues in that area. You're not out of the woods yet by any means. So we want to keep you safe in that area. And we apologize for breaking into programming, but tornadoes definitely come first, especially when there's one spotted. It was a large tornado on the ground, not too far from the Pella area. I think it went on north of Pella, didn't it? It was like the northwest side, yeah. And we were watching it kind of going through north part of town. I am, to our production team, going to pop right back here on the chroma key wall just to kind of highlight what we are watching here. It is 7:17, which means that we've only got a little over 10 minutes before this warning, excuse me, is set to expire. We will see if it gets extended. My gut says they may let the tornado warning expire. I don't like to speak for the National Weather Service, but even though we're seeing that rotation, like Brad and I have said, we're just not quite seeing the same signature that we were earlier. And as time goes on, it just becomes a little bit harder and harder to see. You can actually see there where it popped up.
Yeah, I'm going to slow that down so you can get a better look at it, but that's going pretty fast. But you can watch this shear. This is basically where the rotation was the strongest, going right north of Pella.
And it's sort of gone away.
Yeah, it's diminished quite a bit there, Brandon. So that is definitely good news. That's what we were talking about. And this is kind of a way, because my wife was watching at home and she's saying, "Where's the rotation? Where's?" So this is an easy way to see where the rotation is, Brandon, because everybody can see that it's going right north of Pella, and it has diminished, thankfully. So improvement, but the warning continues. We'll be safe here for a few more minutes.
Yeah, we are certainly thankful that we didn't have any damage reported in Pella. It was awfully close there to town. And like I said, back in 2018, we had the Vermeer manufacturing plant that was hit pretty hard by an EF2 tornado. So anytime you see what's going on like this and you see these storms, it makes you think for a second about what could happen. So we want to always err on the side of caution and let people know what's going on. This is a big storm, by the way, that is moving east. It's going to generally move out of our area pretty soon. It's almost over in Powesheik County, and it's still rolling right through northern Mahaska County. There are smaller little cells to the east, or rather the west of that, through northern Marion County, northern Warren County. None of those are severe. Most of the energy that would strengthen those storms is essentially being taken up. It's being hogged by this storm. So I don't think those will become severe. And then you mentioned the gust front, which I was pointing out earlier in our coverage. That's like a miniature cold front. It is signaling where we will see that cold front moving through, and we're going to have gusty winds on the backside of that, but it sort of pushes all the storms to the east, and once that rolls through, it cuts off a lot of our severe weather threats. So very soon, I expect that we will see certain counties on the severe thunderstorm watch trimmed away, Brad. We have that in effect, I think, till 11 o'clock, but that's probably not going to last that long.
No. They'll definitely trim that away as needed. Now, I do want to tell you right now that it is believed by the Weather Service and by us that that tornado has lifted off of the ground, so it is recycling is what we say. So it's going to try to do this again, so we're not out of the woods. We will see if it has the energy and the environment to recycle and regroup and form another tornado. But it is a classic scenario. When a storm produces a tornado, it can generally do that again later on. It just is the nature of that thunderstorm, basically. So it's something we will be watching. And I was telling you about that inflow notch. Sometimes those redevelop, and it basically takes another big breath of air, like a living thing. So it takes that big breath of warm, moist air, and it gets another big updraft, and we get some rotation. We could have another tornado. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's still northern Mahaska County, and that's going to go until 7:30. We got 10 more minutes, Brandon. It looks like hopefully it will continue to move. Now we'll probably stay on the storm into Keokuk County if it does remain tornadic, because that is still part of our DMA. So we'll keep an eye on that for you, but it is getting closer to the edge of our viewing area. Northern Mahaska County, you folks in this area, seek shelter, stay in your shelters. Hopefully you're just watching on a television in the basement or something like that, or you can watch this also on live stream, weareiowa.com, Facebook, and also on the YouTube channel we have, Local 5.
We are
YouTube.
everywhere.
We're everywhere. So you can use your phone to watch us. We have a live stream there. You click on it. So you always want the We Are Iowa app, by the way, because you'll get those warnings no matter where you are, and you can watch us live. We do a lot of live streaming during severe weather events. I know Brandon's been doing that all day today, so he's probably very tired. So it's looking better, Brandon. I don't see, and I'll switch over here to velocity, but it doesn't look too bad right now. And here's the shear. I'll just show that for everybody. So there's the shear. Again, not much there. The blue goes away, so that's good news. Now I'm going to switch over to more of the basically the velocity and see if there's anything with that. But I really don't think it's a big deal. Yeah, it's really looking a lot better out there. So
which is a good sign.
Storm relative velocity, yeah. So it really is.
As we notice this wrapping up, we hope, of course, it could still cycle back and produce another tornado. If we could, one final time, just share some of those photos of the tornado that was confirmed in Pella to the production control room there. Here we go.
All right.
So we've got
Yeah.
This is from Tanner Charles. He said a tornado a short while ago near Pella. You
Yeah.
can see it right over that field there. And we had quite a few different views of it.
Now,
This was
that
from,
looks pretty pronounced there.
yeah, this was from Zach Glasgow, a zoomed out version of that Pella tornado. And it looks like it's over an open field, but there are some buildings over there. So I'm thankful that we didn't really have any damage. And let's see.
There you go, a little closer.
Yep, Colin Davis said tornado very near the city of Pella. You know, I think in a sense we dodged a bullet.
We did, and maybe there's a farmhouse or a outbuilding, or there has to be damage. I mean, trees, at least trees or fields are damaged on the north side, but hopefully did not hit a home. But yeah, it's a wedge. We call that a wedge tornado when it's shaped like that. You
know what's wild too is I said this earlier. This will now only be the second tornado we have confirmed this entire season in central Iowa. And it's been such a quiet season.
They've both been in our viewing area, but and kind of not unexpected. I mean, today we thought the possibility was there, but even the Storm Prediction Center put out a severe thunderstorm watch, not thinking tornadoes were the primary threat. But this one came together for sure.
And well, and then it was such a quiet severe weather season, and then all of a sudden it ramped up. You had hailstorms everywhere Friday night.
Yes.
Then it was quiet yesterday, and then we had storms overnight last night. So it's been.
And the good news is we're getting rainfall, everybody. So I guess we'll take the good with the bad, or the bad with the good, whichever way you look at it. But
I say it's hard to get rain at this time of year without some sort of storm threat.
You got to get some storms out there. And again, the reason we're kind of talking like it's a baseball game right now, because the storm has weakened quite a bit. If we were real concerned about this right now, we'd be definitely zeroing in on that area. But at this point, it looks like it's lost its characteristics, the tornadic characteristics. So all good, all good. We don't have the all clear yet. That's going to be 6 minutes from now. And if it doesn't improve, or if it doesn't increase in intensity, Brandon, they will probably let that warning expire.
I think they probably will too. We knew that when it had just touched down in Pella, it was pretty close to that expiration time. So I knew, hey, we're going to get an extension of this, but it's lost a lot of its signature. Doesn't mean there's not something there. Yes, there's still torrential rainfall in Mahaska County. There's probably quite a bit of lightning. And, I think that we've got some hail signatures, some hail markers popping up there. So, the storm itself is not over by any means.
No. And I'm looking at this area, which is usually where the inflow is coming in. It's probably the inflow is actually not out of the southeast, thankfully, but I should redraw that because the winds aren't probably southeasterly, more southwesterly, but still it does have that inflow area. Let's say winds coming in like this. That is not a really sharp gradient there. So if you had a really sharp gradient, you'd have a very strong updraft there and a very powerful storm. So it doesn't have that sharpness to it. And what I'm talking about is, I'll draw that on there here, but this area right here is just not as sharp as, bright reds to nothing, basically. So that would be a very strong updraft area. So that's a good sign. If that
couple of the, not to interrupt you, a couple of the storm chasers out there have said that the structure, they're in Oskaloosa looking north, the structure is really going down too. Which is good to hear, compared to what it was.
It's great to have those spotters out there, and Iowa's good with that too. And one of our friends, Chris Conawan's out there chasing as well. And he saw earlier, he had a rotating wall cloud. That was an earlier cell by Newton. Maybe not the same cell, but yeah, it's great to have those people out there to give you ground truth. I mean, we're looking at it on the radar, but they're out there actually looking at it, and they confirm what we believe, what we suspect, and that is good news. So again, we've got 4 more minutes, and we'll get back to programming, and or we could go back maybe even now, Brandon. Do you think you would feel, or keep our live stream going?
I think we could probably keep the live stream going for just a few more minutes.
Yeah.
But head back to programming. I think that would be good.
Let's go back to programming because people want to watch their shows. I'm not even sure what's on right now. I apologize for you folks, CW and ABC. But let's go back to programming. We will keep the live stream going, YouTube, weareiowa.com, and also at our Facebook page. So thanks for joining us here on Local 5.